In part 3 of this lecture, we're going to look at some of the staffing models that IO psychologists might use. When we use a comprehensive staffing model, we collect information that is relevant to multiple components of the job. We might administer 5 tests, and we use the 5 scores for each applicant to make decisions. When we use a compensatory staffing model, we allow some scores to compensate for other scores. We might average the scores across 5 different tests and use that one score, an average, to make staffing decisions. We typically don't use the compensatory model when testing physical or sensory abilities, in part because it could be dangerous to put someone in a job where they don't have the basic physical and sensory abilities required for the job. When we rely on clinical decision-making, we rely on our subjective expertise to choose from the options. This includes things like feelings, thoughts, intuition. The clinical decision-making model is not ideal, but if you think about it, anytime we ask raters to rate performance in an interview or an assessment center, we are in fact relying on the clinical decision-making skills of those raters. IO psychologists try to rely more on the statistical decision-making model, where they collect data, evidence, analyze it, and draw conclusions based on it. On the slide, you can see an example of a statistical decision-making tool, where we have 5 candidates or applicants, A, B, C, D, and E. We've tested them across 5 dimensions: oral and written communication, cognitive ability, experience, and conscientiousness. Then we have a total score for each applicant. This example also illustrates a comprehensive staffing decision model. In addition to choosing between comprehensive and compensatory, between clinical and statistical, we also need to decide whether we want hurdles. A hurdle system is non-compensatory. It does not use averages. It does not allow applicants to compensate for a low score. If we choose a hurdle system, we might decide to use multiple hurdles so that applicants who fail a test or don't pass the hurdle are rejected, are excluded from the process. They don't make it to the next hurdle. The multiple hurdle system is useful for large applicant pools when we have hundreds of applicants for a single position. The first hurdles are the screening tests, and they are used to make sure that applicants have the basic KSAOs. The next set of hurdles form the core of the selection process and includes the interviews, the work samples, the situational judgment tests, and the last hurdles include the contingent selection tests, things like the medical exam. We also try to place the hurdles, the tests, in order from cheapest first to more expensive last. An application blank is a standardized resume, and it's relatively cheap to assess. Medical exams, drug tests, even some background checks are saved for the last tests because they can sometimes cost hundreds of dollars. When we create these hurdles, we have to use evidence to choose the cutoff scores. This visual helps explain a multiple hurdle system. Imagine we're hiring a manager at a Fortune 100 company. We make 2,000 contacts with potential applicants, people who are interested in the position. Of those 2,000, we screen 500 of them, and we get 100 applicants. We test 50 of them. We interview 25 of them. We run background checks on 20 of them. We make 10 conditional job offers. Once they are accepted, we ask for 10 medical exams. We end up with 10 hires.